So this is a special IHE's episode, right? No, this is just me talking about my hair. And I realized that since I've become who I am right now, YouTube channel, I really haven't talked about my hair. I just kind of went and got locks and never really updated people about my locks. In any case, so I definitely wanted to explain certain things about my hair. And one of the things that I've recently done was cut off the sides of my hair. As you can see, blow. It's not brushed, so it kind of looks peasy, and I don't have a problem with the word peasy. And at first I had to really get used to it. I really thought that it was like weird, you know. I looked kind of, you know, for lack of a better word, I thought I looked kind of butch. And but I always liked androgyny to a certain degree, and so I kind of, after the first initial shock of cutting my hair off, because it was really lower than this, my hair started growing back. I mean, it was nearly bald. After the initial shock of it, I got used to it, and I started putting up in my updos and all that other type of business. But one of the things that I wanted to explain about my locks, that, you know, I've always been forthcoming about any issues that I've ever had with my hair. And one of the things that I usually had that was difficult about my hair when it was loose was that I used to have systematic breakage all the time, no matter what I did, no matter how I treated my hair, no matter what I mean, honestly, it was always breakage, and it would break in the same places because of the chemical damage that, you know, I experienced via when I used to have a relaxer. And granted, I've been natural longer than I've been had a relaxer, but I've only had a relaxer for 7 years of my life, and during that time I've experienced burns and things like that, and you really don't think that they have like a big impact on my hair, but they actually did. So as with when I had you know, the same thing as I had when I had loose hair, you know, my hair would break or thin out in the back areas and along the sides, and this side would be more impacted than the other side. So as you can see, my cut here is a lot higher, and it goes around the back. But so I'm one of those people who I can't have locks and have it look thin and disgusting. I would just cut all of my hair off. But I saw this picture in that book that I was telling you about that I made for my daughter, about the sister who had cut off all of her hair around, and I mean all of it, and she had like a little like beehive in the middle, like, you know, it was like this, and it was up in the air, but everything around it was shaved bald, and then she cut geometric shapes into it, and I was like, oh, that's so dope. And so I was in a position where I, you know, I didn't really have to adhere to anybody's, you know, job description of how, you know, dress code or anything like that. So I went ahead and did it, you know, and I did my mohawk, and I was like, okay, done. So what I've decided to do, though, in cutting off my locks, was actually use the locks that I cut off and put it back in my hair. And I did that in several areas. And the reason why I did that is because there are still areas of my hair that are thinned out. And those are the areas that have always been problem areas. So I have done it. I've reattached a couple of locks actually since then. I've cut out maybe like 24 locks, and I've reattached, I think yesterday I put in 2 more, and then the day before that I put like 4 in, so I have about 20 locks left. And let me see. This one was a new lock, actually. I could tell because it's shorter than everything else. And I actually had to reinforce the lock because it was skinny in some places. So I took a piece of thread and I sewed up this part right here. And what you did is I actually saw a video where the sister had sewn back into the head of a client that she was doing her own locks. She had locks before, cut it off, decided to do loose hair. Didn't like loose hair too much, so she saved her locks and then had it reattached. I'm like, oh, that's a dope ass idea. I've never thought about it like that. And if I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at my screen instead of the camera, but you know, I'm talking to you anyway. But so this is an attached lock where I gathered all the loose hair that was in that area, and I attached the lock back to it. So I braided it in, and then I reinforced it with a piece of thread. So I used a needle and thread, and then I sewed back in. And the same along this end, So everything around the side, I wanted to have a nice box or whatever. So that's what I did. And in the back of my hair, I can't show that to you right now because my computer is teetering on the edge of my sofa. So that back of my hair has always been thin around the back. So I've never had like a neckline. My neckline has always been like wisps of hair. So I cut the back of my hair into like a sharp angle, like a V. And so it looked more like this because the bottom part that's supposed to be at the neckline was, you know, barely there. So I put another one back in there to complete to make it look like a V actually. So that's what I've done. So where's the one with my, here we are. This one was actually, when I took it out, this is the one I put color to. This one was actually on this side of my hair, like right here, and I put it back on this side to complete the arch. So, you know, that's one of the things. And people say that you can use like that kinky hair to put it in your hair and attach and thicken your locks. I'm like, blah. I've used that so-called kinky hair, which is synthetic hair that's permed or curled to the point where it's supposed to look like natural African hair, and it doesn't really. It falls out every single time because it doesn't respond like African hair responds. You know what I'm saying? Like when I took my locks out and I washed them like 3 times, when I cut them out and I washed them and I disinfected them and I did all the things I need to do before I put them back in my hair, when you put water on your own hair, it like becomes like really tight, and that's the response that you want to any hair that you're going to put back into your head. And I don't know how you can do that because you have to like use your own hair. You can't use anybody else's locks because I have a thing where you are putting in somebody else's stuff in your hair, especially if it's locks, so you can't use other people's locks. So it was important to me to put that back in, and I can't use, like I would use my sister has locks, and like next time she cuts her hair, if I want to use it to attach, maybe my hair grows back on the side and I want to, you know, even it out, I could use some of my sister's locks or something like that to put her locks back in if she decides to cut it, or my niece's locks. So like I'll navigate in my family arena, and I have a whole bunch of people who have family. My aunt actually cut off all her locks, and I was like, damn, if I had thought about it, if I thought I was going to do this, I would have just, you know, asked her for her locks and cleaned it and did all these other types of things. But that's something I'm now like a lock hunter. Just because I want to explore it a little bit more, and I like the idea of putting locks back into my hair. I don't like putting synthetic hair in my hair, and it just doesn't work as well. And yeah, so that's what I did. I will not do a demo on how I did it, but I will put a link to the video that I saw where a sister was reattaching locks to a client's hair. You could check that out. But I just thought it was, how come I didn't think about that? So maybe you might want to think about that now. All right, bye.